Welcome. I'd like to talk a little bit today about the bottom portion of the hourglass figure. Once children are aware of an individual phoneme and can manipulate that and are aware and can differentiate it, they have a discrimination, an ability to discriminate that sound from other sounds that sound a lot alike it, then they're able to, if they know the name of a letter, hook that onto the sound. And then in the bottleneck of the hourglass here, we start talking about the alphabetic principle. It's actually very abstract. It's the idea that when you are aware of a sound, you then can represent that on the page with a letter or a letter pattern. This is a phoneme. This is representing a grapheme. A grapheme is the smallest letter or letter pattern combination that represents one phoneme. So I'll write the word grapheme right here. So what we're doing, what we did in the very top part of our hourglass, of course, is from big, long, connected stream of speech to slightly smaller and smaller and smaller units of sound. Once we're aware of a sound, however, we teach those letter and letter patterns from the orthographic processor in slightly larger and larger and larger connections of letter-sound combinations. At first, when we're teaching, we still do teach an individual sound and its letter or letter combination. And there are multiple terms that we teach children to think about the letter and letter patterns that represent a phoneme. A grapheme is a direct representation of a phoneme on paper, but we also have words like digraphs. Di means two, graph means letter, so we have two letters that represent one sound. We also have three letters that represent a sound, as in TCH or DGE. Those are trigraphs. In our language, we have lots of letter combinations that represent vowel teams and vowel sounds. So we have vowel teams. Those are all individual phonemes still, represented with letter and letter patterns. Vowel teams. After vowel teams, we have to start thinking about more than one sound being represented by a letter or a letter pattern. So now we're talking about the consonant blends. So we have blends in our language. In addition to blends, we also have word families, which is a vowel and everything else that comes after that. So we could say that word families, again, are a slightly larger chunk of letter and letter patterns that we are teaching. After word families, it's important to begin to think about talking about syllables and syllable types. So we have 6 syllable types. In our language, that's an orthographic convention that we layer on multi-syllable words to help students break apart those long words so they're not quite as daunting. After we look at the 6 syllable types, or as we're thinking about that, we also think about the layer of language called morphology. Teaching morphemes is important as well. And morphemes are the smallest meaningful unit. So you might notice that we have words like phoneme, grapheme, and morpheme. All 3 of those words have the meaningful morpheme EME, and EME represents the smallest unit of something that's really tiny and cute. Lastly, we have etymology, or where words come from. I've listed that on the hourglass to think about its word origin and its impact on our reading and spelling system. We're quite a melting pot here. One thing to think about with the bottom part of the hourglass is that not all of these skills are created and taught lockstep in this manner. In general, we do teach from small unit of letter sound to slightly larger and larger and larger. However, it takes quite a while to teach vowel teams, for instance. So you might teach AI and AY in first grade, how to recognize it to read it and then produce it to spell it. But you wouldn't teach some of the more advanced vowel teams like EIGH as A in neighbor until a little later on, perhaps into second and third grade. So vowel teams takes a long time. Syllables might as well. You introduce the idea of a syllable as early as first grade. Kindergarten and first grade teach closed syllables. Silent E syllables become important in the vowel consonant E in first grade. Open syllables do as well, but this needs to be mastered perhaps by the end of third grade is typically where we see students on our continuum. Morphology and morphemes also are taught all the way through this continuum. The very early ones are Inflected endings like ed and ing, or s and es for plural and past tense, and those are taught a little bit earlier. But we list this here because in earnest, we start teaching Latin in 4th grade and beyond with roots, and we want to be certain that we are teaching them at the right age and grade level. And of course, we always can smatter our instruction with etymology, where all of these come from, and when you learn about where words come from, it gives you a nice clue into how to spell those words. So thanks for spending some time talking about the bottom portion of the hourglass figure.